I'm going to talk about a few scientific, technical things here. Just these are just ideas. Obviously, I do not have the science behind them today. Um, this is something I would call out to the many scientists of the day and say, I mean, they may already have these ideas in mind. I may not be coming up with anything new. These are just some things I wanted to put down, just to talk about. So picture, this is something now to totally zap clean your water. Now, I wouldn't call it a filter. I wouldn't call it a purifier. I'd call it like a zapper. I mean, it could be called whatever it could be called, but picture this. Picture like a laser field. Picture a laser field that water runs through. So like a laser field, as in like you tune up this laser field thing, and it's like confined in like a chamber or something where there's this laser field, and the water comes through. The water comes through the laser field. When not, if it's just like an inline pipe, it's just going to be whatever, a half-inch pipe or whatever it is of laser. The water goes through, and then when it comes out the other side, it's only pure H2O. In other words, everything else gets zapped out of it, gets taken out, and gets put into like a what's it called, like a disposal compartment or whatever, and you know, basically you would tune it up so that only the molecule H2O would come through. You'd have to, like I said, this relies on physics principles and chemistry. It's like physical chemistry or whatever the hell it would be. So this thing would be a great product. Obviously, you can install every home. It could be installed at the municipal level, but it also could be installed at every home because you'd probably want something like this because even like the lines that if we'd have to see where it would fit. If it would be done at the municipal level, and that's all you would need. But I we can. This is such a vast thing that could be used to desalinate ocean water, and pretty much virtually any of our water woes of water worries would kind of go out the window. With any invention, great power comes great responsibility. We obviously have to be very, very responsible with what we're doing. So anyways, that's just a simple ideation on that design. This is another thing that sort of parallels that in the concepts behind it. Picture a elemental trash breakdown device. So you have all your trash of, our waste products of various natures, any composite material coming through on this. Just picture a conveyor belt and picture it going through this thing, similar type thing, where now this would have to be more advanced, where picture it, literally it breaks down everything to the elemental level. I mean, if you guys are telling me as scientists, okay, everything is composed of these elements in its physical form, well, then technically we should be able to break everything down to elements, right? So imagine the other end of this conveyor belt comes out this pile, that element, that pile, that element, et cetera, et cetera. You have all these piles of, or chambers, compartments, whatever they are, however we're, compiling it, of all these just different elements. So we basically, our trash becomes a valuable resource again of these usable elements. Again, it's getting the science tooled up to the frequencies of these, I'm using the term frequency, it might be other terminology, but whatever it is, to break down these composite materials into these elemental forms. Okay, this is something now that I've thought about for quite a long time. I mean, this is back to the basics here. We really need a line of safe synthetic fertilizers, not only for the home user, but obviously for our commercial industrial farming applications for plant crops and what have you. Today, from what I can tell, all these fertilizers, all the ones that I have access to anyways, of the synthetic nature are like polluted. It's like, okay, people are mining minerals, but they're not refining. They're mining, but not refining, right? They're not breaking it down to the elemental level and then rebuilding a safe fertilizer to use in the applicable form. Instead, they're just throwing like these minerals, like, oh, geez, and you get headaches. Oh my God, you're getting headaches from some of these fertilizers because it's not broken down. People are losing their hair and stuff because of could be a whole myriad of things that happen and health conditions as a result of our impure fertilizer lines. Now, of course, I'm a strong proponent of organic farming, safe, clean organic, none of the raped or slaughtered manure departments. I'm talking good organic, like the green manures, as in like crops and all that kind of stuff, and other safe organic stuff I'm really into, and I see a bright future, but I see it as a combination of safe synthetics and good clean organics. So this, again, the safe synthetic fertilizer, plant farming, elemental breakdown, and then go from there. Okay, another topic here now is satellites. Now, I could be being watched right now by a satellite, and I wouldn't even need to record this. That would be nice if I knew that, right? Save me some time here. So this is just a theory that I have, that I think based on just thoughts about life, just about what I remember from before. I kind of theorize that everything you would say, even say I wasn't even putting this down on this camera right now, everything that I'm saying and everything that I'm doing, my emotions, everything, right? It's light and sound, right? It's light and sound. And it's out there, man. It's once you do it, it's out there. Once I go like that, it's out here in the universe, right? And so theoretically, if we could imagine one day we come up with these receivers, a receiver device that we are able to pick up, we could go back and say, okay, June 3rd, 2008 at 5:18 p.m. and you put in the coordinates at this location, and you could see and watch it from there. You could see exactly what's going on. Imagine one day we have the receiver technology. See, it's not about stuff that we would be recording personally live. It'd be using this receiver to pick up what is already put out there in the universe. Now, in coordination, in conjunction with this, and my statements on other previous lifetimes, I theorize that we could tune into previous repeats of this, life or any trail or any previous lifetime, if we had the right technology to break those barriers. Because if you think of life as a continuum and even all these repeats, imagine you could see what happened on like the past 50 repeats, and you could stack those up and you could take that information and we could use it for good or for worse. Again, with great power comes great responsibility. So let's hope that we're all going to be shaping things up into a responsible direction. I'm in a political time now where people are talking about something which my personal opinion, I think is just plain ridiculous. We're talking about building a wall, a concrete cinder block wall or whatever on a border between countries. And I'm like, well, that just seems like quite a waste and not really the right direction. I understand the need for security. So again, to talk about satellites, why not just have a satellite wall, like that comes down? It's literally like a satellite wall, like right on the border, so that anything that would pass through that, we could rig it up so that it's not going to be like a sagebrush running through, blowing through. It's going to be like, a living organism. Now, granted, you could say, well, what if it's a deer or an armadillo or some lizard? I'm like, yeah, so you'd almost have to tune it up to the human frequency. So when you get your science rigged up so that your satellite can pick up and distinguish between a deer and a human, for example, well, then that's when you really get somewhere with your satellite technology. And then only then at that point, then we look at it, we monitor it. We have guys sitting in the booth at the government agency that's monitoring the border, and they look and they're like, oh yeah, that's so and so. They look at them, they're trying to jump the border again. Well, let's send some guys out. So they just nonchalantly send some guys out and say, hey guys, what are you guys doing? You got to go through the proper border over there. We got an entry port over there. You just got to come through legally. We're not here to turn you. Got to come through. So you see situations like that. To me, I hope everyone can grasp what I'm saying. Even if we don't have the technology to determine, between a deer and a human, you could still employ satellite technology that we have today, and it would probably be much more cost effective and much more effective than a wall. I mean, guys tunnel under the walls, punch holes through walls, climb over walls. I mean, a wall, what are you going to do? Have guards in every square inch of in every mile of the wall? That's going to be a lot of money to have guards out there doing that. So I think the satellite wall idea is a much better idea. I'm just saying that for the world that I'm in right now. I mean, one day I hope it doesn't really matter. Like, we're going to all be on the same page. Doesn't matter what side of the border we're on. Hell, if I ever have the money, I'm going to go right down on the border and I'll build a factory, and I'll say, hey, guys from both sides of the border can come work at my factory. I'm going to pay you equal wages, from either side of the border. So that may be one thing to consider. here's another thing that I spoke about before to people. People tried to laugh at me or chalk me off on this one, just like they do most of my things. But I don't know if they laugh. I mean, I don't know how much they laughed, but they just didn't see the full grasp of what I'm talking about. So, picture when you go in for medical healthcare reasons, picture a full body scanner and picture a full blood lab. Um, Mass-produced, efficient, standard procedure. My goal in today's terms of dollars that I'm in, say, we can get it down to the cost of anywhere between 50 to 100 US dollars. I can go in, get a full body scan, a full blood lab, and see a doctor for their, thoughts and recommendations. I mean, how can a doctor really even tell you anything if he doesn't have that full body scan, if he doesn't have that full blood lab? I mean, that's almost like that should be a preliminary in a lot of cases, right? I mean, if you just, you don't need to get one every week or something. If you go in the doctor, I'm just saying this is like a preliminary line. Okay, you got some ailment, you don't know what the hell it is. This is something. And for your initial checkup, I mean, this is something once you get this done, you'll kind of know more about your body. You know more about like what's going on. And I'm talking about advanced body scans that obviously they don't have today. This is something we have to build to. And, yes, they're expensive today, but when you mass produce these things, they're going to become as common as your cell phone or your DVD player. And, through mass production, that's how the costs come down. If this is standard practice at all medical facilities worldwide, think about the great potential here. And, Nether just is just nothing to do with technology. Well, kind of is. You use technology to record this. This is not anything new, but it's very good, I think, to have a full record of your, medical record throughout the life of you. Like if I go in when I'm 2, my mom takes me into the doctor or something. Well, okay, that's in a computer system. It shows what happened to you then. If I say I grew up, I'm like 6 years old. Maybe I don't know, fracture my arm or my wrist. Hey, that's in there or whatever. I get some other ailment or anything. Oh, he had this kind of strep throat or whatever it is that they put in the ledger. That way, your whole life, you have a whole record of your medical history. It can help to diagnose any future conditions based on any previous conditions. So I think record keeping is important to follow the life of someone. Now, some people may be all scared and say, well, I don't want to have that. I'm like, well, what are you afraid of? You're only afraid of healing yourself. I mean, they're afraid of like being discriminated against. But that's why, in the future, I hope this healthcare system in general, the costs are going to be coming down because we're focusing at the core level, lowering the cost of, affecting the health insurance industry the way that like certain governments, like the government that I'm dealing with, that's really not the way to focus on it. They're pointing fingers at the insurance agency, and I'm like the whole time I'm like telling everybody, I'm like, it's not the insurance companies, it's the cost of care at the core level. Like it's I mean they charge you $400 or more to stay in a hospital room, even if you don't even see a doctor and you don't get any work done. Okay, there's something wrong with that. So it's the core level that needs to be affected. It's not the insurance companies. I know that's a social issue. I'm not trying to get political in this video. It's more of a social caring issue. Anyway, so thank you for your time and hope and great peace.